My name is Helen Okolo. This is Business Review Africa. Today I'll be speaking with Professor Ayola, who is the president and founder of Farm and Infrastructure Foundation in Nigeria. Thank you.
Integral nature of food security and agribusiness interwoven together to move this country forward. So in this arena, we need of prioritization and reprioritization. We need government to do more. Now, in concrete terms, in more practical terms, we know how the policy environment and the technology environment have been hindered by many factors. Therefore, if we want to move Nigerian agriculture forward, especially towards food security, we need to get some other hidden areas right. One is the relationship between the federal government and the state government in agriculture. We have not got it right from 60 years ago. Why do I say so? The Constitution, take the 1999 Constitution, puts superior role to states in agricultural development, which is logical. Agriculture takes place on ground in the states. The people who make them happen belong in the states. There is no farm in the air in the federal, and so on. So it was right for the Constitution to put heavier weight on agricultural development on the states and less weight, not little, but less weight on federal. What do I mean? If you go to appropriate sections in the Constitution, especially the Constitution that says, the sections that say agriculture is a joint federal and state responsibility, fine. But people read only the first part, and that first part does not say more than that. Yes, we work together to make agriculture work. The second part goes further to now say you should observe a division of labor between the two, but they don't. What is this division of labor? It brought out certain critical roles to federal. It says research, promotion, and financing of agricultural projects is assigned to federal government. All other things, including implementation, practical implementation, and so on, they are assigned to the state. But they don't respect this provision in the Constitution. It is there. And they did not just put it there for nothing. They have a logic behind it. But what do we see? On the part of federal, they overreach the state more than what they can swallow, biting more than what they can chew. That's what federal does. Fund is not unlimited for federal government, so it cannot do everything. It should just stay within the confines defined for it in the Constitution. Provide finance, ensure research is good, and do promotional activities around all that. That is federal. And let the state take the bull by the horn. That's not what federal government is doing. On the part of the state, because of what the federal is doing, overreaching itself, the state becomes complacent. In the context of sharing the national cake, for example, now let them bring the money, let them bring the fertilizer, let them bring the seed, let them bring all those things should have been burdened on the states. Where which government, federal government is running a task letter to do. They have the advantage of agroecological specialization. What we grow best in the northeast is not the same thing that we grow best in the southeast, and so on and so forth. You would have allowed the states to take charge of their destiny in that regime, and then pump promotion of what they are doing to them, provide finance for what they are doing, and conduct research to make what they are doing innovative and better. That is the regime. So that relationship is not there. So if you are asking me what we should do, that's one thing Nigeria should get right going forward. But that is just one. Our legal environment seems not to be supportive enough to make both state and federal do fine in agricultural development. I would recommend first and foremost the perception, the mindset of people and policy authorities to change from within, seeing food as a fundamental human right. So we need a law for that. And I've told you about that law. We want a constitutional amendment. That is one. Two, talking the financing role of federal government. There is no solid framework for playing that role legally, and we would have loved that to be corrected as well. That government puts a law in place for that sets up a good funding arrangement, a National Agricultural Development Fund, to which all beneficiaries in the economy will contribute. And that fund will fund research, will fund their promotion, will fund their all the roles that government plays to them. That is two. Three, and maybe last, is that our policy environment is bedeviled by instability over time. Stop, go policies. Even reinforced by policy inconsistency as different from instability. Instability is jerky nature of policies implementation. You implement this one, something happens, maybe new government comes, you abandon that, you keep another. Another government comes, you exercise this over the other. You cannot make progress like that.
Yeah.
Joined with inconsistency, I mean even the policy in all organs of government are not consistent with one another. While agriculture is striving to do this ministry, trade industry is trying to do this. You remember when the Minister of Agriculture, the past minister, I think that was Chief announced a gigantic program for exportation of yam.
Yeah.
When he did not know that in the Ministry of Investment, Trade and something, there is a ban on food items to be exported abroad. Two hands not knowing what each other is doing. So inconsistency also applies. What I want to recommend for that is an agricultural stabilization act, which will make it difficult and if not totally impossible for new people that come into policy process causing perturbations. It will make it difficult for them to cause such perturbations. And the greatest perturbation comes from changes in government, from PDP to the APC, from Buhari to another person and so on. Giving room for new ideas, new egos, new this and that we say, okay, that was for the government that went, I want to do mine. Things like that. There is a very interesting way that the Americans address that problem. They put in place an agricultural development or strategy law that lasts beyond any government. Every 6 years, the Americans go to their legislature to pass what they call the Farm Bill, is the agricultural strategy bill, what they want to do in the next 6 years. And they have sections that guides any person wanting to patrol any area. There are areas that no minister can touch until the next 6 years. This that is going on and so on and so forth. You are obliged to go ahead. And that is why when you see an American president coming in, he cannot automatically say, I stop AGOA. I stop this. Whether he says it or not, proceed on another thing. No. He has a minimum of 2 years to go ahead with what is there and study areas needing change before he can do so. A president comes every 4 years and the program lasts 6 years. Even if you put the program in place from the beginning of the government, that program will survive that government. And the coming government will inherit 2 years of that program. So things will be smoothened out. The curve of policy implementation will become flat enough to allow reasonable stability to prevail. Therefore, I venture to propose an Agricultural Stabilization Act, which we take that form in our own domain with necessary adjustments and modifications. But we disallow people willy-nilly to come and change whatever in the process of policy implementation simply because they come in late.
So in other words, you're talking about continuity of agricultural policy.
Is the word.
Okay, that's awesome. So probably rounding up now, by 2021, Africa will go into the operationalization phase of the Africa Continental Free Trade. And being someone who is very passionate about the agricultural sector, food safety, what I just want to advise, how do we leverage on agricultural sector to be able to trade with agricultural products in Nigeria, to be part of this Africa Continental Free Trade if it starts in 2021 January?
That's fine. Trade is a relationship. It's a market relationship. People going to trade in the market should go with sincerity of purpose, open hands, and so on, because the market is a competitive marketplace. And in market competition, so many hurdles are there to be surmounted, especially the hurdle of market sharp practices. Therefore, African continent, in preparation for the free trade agreement that have been signed and ready to go, should go with sincere minds and honesty of purpose. That is one key point. Second point is that we should build capacity for agroecological specialization. As large as Africa is in agricultural landscape, we have different capacities in different areas, in different scenarios. We need to determine our individual production capacities. What crops, livestock, and fisheries are we better endowed than the other? It's not a blindfolded competition we are going to do there. We have some countries that have large water bodies enough to specialize in water products. Let that emerge within the trade arena. Let them have a forum where that will be decided. Which endowment should we emphasize over the other? Of course, there are common endowed areas, because as much as we are talking African trade, we don't want to merely translate insecurity from Europe and America of food for Nigeria to insecurity of food from other parts of Africa. So the entities are there as sovereign entities. Nevertheless, they have communal areas to agree upon, and they have areas where they can specialize. So specialization is key to trade. Without specialization in what you are better endowed, the volume of products that will be flowing in such a market will be limited. So it is through division of labor from elementary economics, based on specialization, based on agroecologies that are different, that specialization can come and we can translate it into that arena. So these are my preliminary comments ahead of the agreement fully taking off. Yeah. When it takes off, the modalities put in place, the factors that are playing out, and so on and so forth, will determine the other roads to toe to make this agreement work. But in general, it is a very, very good and welcome development for Africa.
One advice for Mr. President in face of the COVID-19 challenges and, of course, unemployment, how can agriculture help in bringing out youth from the states where they are?
Yes, not long ago, that same question was posed to me. I responded in favor of massive rural infrastructure development in this country. COVID-19 is an emergency. It requires emergency solutions, quite all right, but also solutions that can sustain the outcomes of that emergency response. To sustain the outcomes of the emergency response, we need to recapitalize the food sector very quickly. And that is what I mean by infrastructure, massive infrastructure development. Because government, President Buhari, to be specific, is called upon to provide infrastructure. In fact, apart from infrastructure provision, the business of government remains very, very small. Provide rural infrastructures for the agricultural sector, provide urban infrastructure for the urban sectors. Where we are talking about pertains to the rural sector seriously. Food security is key. President Buhari should note that very seriously. I had one of my days last week or so as a sad day when it was reported in the media, forget about whether it's social media or print media or whatever, when it was reported that Nigeria had gone to ECOWAS to borrow food grains. That's a terrible signal. Red lights coming onto us about food insecurity of this. We may say that because it came from social media, we may want to doubt the integrity. But if there is no fire, hardly can you see a smoke. These signals are becoming real and real by the day. And our experience during COVID-19 management had further confirmed how vulnerable this country is to excruciating hunger in the land. Because in running helter-skelter, we have seen instances of government going to its food security silos and making it seriously empty. Not totally, but very, very empty. And what they supplied, we saw that some of them, people are complaining they have become spoiled. Now, the issue is for us to see what led to such a situation. It means that we are not prepared for emergency. When people define food security as availability of food, affordability of food, accessibility of food, I beg to differ. They have missed out on the most critical word that security brings to bear, and that word is fear. Not so much of those availabilities, but the fear that if something happens tomorrow, we are not secure food-wise. You can begin to see availability, responsibility, and so on and so forth. In the air, we can be sure we eat today, but food security means that what happens tomorrow, not today. It means when you go to sleep, how much of your sleeping time is preoccupied by thinking about what your breakfast will be? How many eyes can you close when you sleep in hunger? That is the context in which I see food security. So, we have now seen that with the COVID-19 emergency, we are not secure at all. That is the message to me in this profession, that Nigeria is vulnerable. And that is what will lead to going to ECOWAS to borrow grace. That word I know is sensational. I know it will come from opposition and so on and so forth, but it's very demeaning. I'm not worried if it is true or not, but I'm worried that we should never give room for such a thing to happen. ECOWAS is not a country. ECOWAS is a group of countries which Nigeria occupies a very large space in, meaning that all other members of ECOWAS are banking on Nigeria as a safety valve if food insecurity looms. But we are one of them, if not the only, that have been reported to go and borrow from the food security reserve of ECOWAS. Mark it, this reserve was actually contributed by members of ECOWAS. It's just like Nigeria paying its due in the World Bank or any other body that they put such a food bank together for emergencies. But it was targeted at food poor countries, Niger, Mali, where desertification has eaten deep, and so on and so forth. And the philosophy behind building the ban, the reserve, is anchored on the big brother Nigeria to now conceptualize that the same Nigeria is the one that has gone to that where it has been contributing and say I want to borrow. It's a signal to what? So President Buhari should see COVID-19 as an eye-opener to the vulnerability of this country to food scarcity as a matter of urgency, and then take precautionary measures. And on that measure, I believe in rural infrastructure, massive one. We resume rural infrastructure provision and development the way we used to do it in the 70s, in the 80s, through the World Bank assisted agricultural development projects. That was not even good enough for a past president to set up a directorate in presidency for food, roads, and rural infrastructures. Do you understand? Yes. But for many years now, those infrastructures have become totally broken down. None of those production, marketing services, and so on infrastructures are there again. So I advise Mr. President to please take another look at the infrastructure approach to food security during emergency. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Prof, I totally agree with you, because during the COVID, at the early stage of the COVID-19, I realized that what was more important at that time, I went to the market, as a media person, I was very careful. I wanted to observe. I realized that what was more important during the COVID-19 was actually food.
Yes.
People were practically begging in the market to have something to buy. The midst of abundance. And that kept me wondering, does it mean that we don't have enough,
You know what has happened there?
No.
Fear
Yes.
had gripped people.
Yes.
When they announced lockdown, what does that mean? You are locked down at a place
Yes.
to look for what to keep.
Yeah.
Within a short while, my wife was crying about scarcity of palm oil, scarcity of tomato, scarcity, more than scarcity of those things she used to prioritize. That is the fear. The fear has come. That is the most important word in security. Security means that an arrangement is put in place to allay your fears so you can sleep. Your mind will be at rest. What you watched in the market is a play out of the crisis in the mind of the people. Many people, low class, high class, medium class, they were scrambling for what to grab and keep somewhere. And mark you, food cannot be kept for too long. So when you struggle and you get something here, whereas, for example, my children in Canada, one of the first things they shouted scarcity about was toilet paper. You see how priorities differ. For a reasonable length of time, even up to now, they have not brought out fear of hunger in managing their own COVID-19. So they are not as vulnerable as Nigeria. And government made, in the interim, quick arrangements in Canada to put food producers on the alert and aid them here and there. Even help people in their homes to avoid lowering their feeding standard because of COVID-19. They were buying off things and taking to some vulnerable segment of the population. Even people who can buy it. They wake up and see a basket of this, that, Bombita, blah, blah, cornflakes in their door. They don't want that fear to emerge at all, because it is the definition of that fear that connotes insecurity. But that is not what we think in this country. We stop short of availability, affordability. Yes, if you can afford, you can access, and you get to the market as you and it's not there, your fear has been heightened. And in a state of fear, your body is not at rest. The cells are rioting. Your psychology is distorted. Your brain work is not smooth because of fear, not because of availability, accessibility, but because of availability, accessibility tomorrow, that you may wake up and not find, not the one that is there today. So we are doing our best in this area. This is our passion. This is where we have condemned ourselves to contribute to society in this way, and that is why this organization promotes policy best practices in agriculture and rural development in favor of food security and right to food in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bob, it was really nice having one-on-one with you. Thank you so very much. So that is it with Professor Ayola. You heard it all. We all have rights to food, and more importantly, he is calling on the federal government of Nigeria to review the food safety policy for economic development. See you next time.